Welcome to Love in Life, a guide to a positive mindset. My aim is to show you that the key to a happier and more positive mind is to love the life you have. We will look at tips and tools you can use to improve your mindset, and the best thing is, we'll all be on this journey together. Hello, how are you? Whoever you are and wherever you are, I hope you are well. If you're a regular visitor to my tiny little section of the podcasting world, then welcome back. I'm honoured that you keep coming back to listen to me. I truly am honoured. If you are brand new, then I welcome you and I hope you enjoy this and I hope you come back. But for now, welcome to episode 37. I'm not going to talk about the weather this week because you must be getting bored now of hearing all the different types of weather we've been experiencing here. Although I did receive a message from somebody last week to say that it makes them laugh when I talk about the weather. So although that person was in the UK, so she totally gets it. But I'm not going to talk about the weather this week. I would like to update you on my cold shower situation. So at the end of of my daily shower, I want to end it with a minute of a cold shower. And I am going to do a podcast in a few weeks' time. It was one of my options for today, actually, but I'll talk about that later. I will be doing a podcast episode on the benefits of cold water therapy and how just finishing your daily shower with a minute of cold water helps. But anyway, for now, I've been talking about instilling that as a habit of my into my daily routine. So that is going well, actually. And for the last week, I have been doing that every day. So not just when I go to the gym. For those of you who listen to me regularly, you'll know that for some reason, being in the gym shower triggers me to have a cold shower, finish it off with a cold shower. But I have been trying to instill that habit at home as well. And that's been going well this week. So I'll keep you updated on that. Last week, I talked about how certain Oscar winners have totally inspired me and how the message that was sent out from women of the older generation winning Oscars at in their 60s, how that has inspired me to talk about how it's never too late and to never give up, carry on working hard. Anyway, from talking about the Oscars, I mentioned to you that I was thinking of possibly going to watch one of the Oscar-winning films, which was Women Talking, and I did indeed go to watch it. And if you follow me on Instagram, then you may have seen on my stories that I actually, for the first time ever, went to the cinema on my own. So not only did I watch a really inspiring Oscar-winning film, and it's probably not to everybody's tastes. I really did like it, but I know Craig wouldn't like it, and I know certain other people in my life wouldn't like it. So that was why it suited me to go on my own. And the story, I mean, it is a novel. I've not read the novel. I'd never even heard of it before, being completely honest. But it's all about not just women, but people in general having choices. I'm not going to say any more than that about the film because I don't want to ruin it for anybody that might want to go and watch it. And if you're into independent films, if you're into anything to do with female empowerment, then I would highly recommend that you go and watch it. But what I do want to talk about is how going to the cinema on my own, I mean, this might not sound, this might sound silly to somebody who is completely self-assured, self-aware, and might not have fears about doing something like this on their own. But that's always something that I've never really thought would be the kind of thing I would do, like turn up to the cinema on my own. So I can't actually tell you how liberating it actually feels to have done this. Like, I really feel that I've really done myself proud by getting outside of my comfort zone on this one. Some people I've spoken to about it have been like, oh, I go to the cinema on my own all the time. And then other people say, oh my God, how did you do that? And I think that just says a lot about how we're all so different and how we all feel differently about ourselves, and how we've all got different levels of confidence when it comes to doing different things. Anyway, I'm totally going off on one now. This isn't actually what I was going to be speaking about today. But yeah, I give myself a little pat on the back for doing that by myself, and it certainly won't be the last time I do a solo cinema trip, because I absolutely loved it. What I have planned to talk to you about today is symbolic meanings. And I've got a little story to tell you later, but first of all, I want to tell you what I mean by symbolic meanings. So when I first started getting into law of attraction, about a year into my law of attraction journey, shall we say, I heard from another podcast, somebody else that I listened to. This person was saying about a song that they have, which is their symbolic meaning, like from the universe. It's like a sign whenever she hears this particular song, like if she's out in a shop or in a restaurant, or if it comes on the radio, it's like a little sign from the universe that you're in the right place. And this person encouraged their listeners to find a symbolic item, if you like. And straight away, I just knew what mine was going to be. It just came to me straight away. So your symbolic item can mean whatever you want it to mean. Some people like to see it as a sign from the universe, like I said, that you're in the right place at the right time. Or you might like to see it as a sign that your guardian angel is looking out for you. It just depends on what your beliefs are. You might see it as a sign that a loved one in the afterlife is watching out for you. So if you've lost somebody close to you and you regularly see something, like a lot of people see a white feather as a sign that their loved ones are with them. So it can be a comfort to you. Different people assign different reasons to their meanings. It can be whatever you feel called to assign to it. So it can be as a sign of guidance. It can be as a sign of comfort. It can be as a symbol of reassurance. For me, I use it as a symbol of guidance. So quite often, if I'm either procrastinating over something, or if I'm in a bit of a predicament, or if I've just got a general question, or if I'm just generally wondering if I'm heading on the right path, do you know what I mean? Then I will put my question out to the universe, I guess. I don't necessarily always say it out loud, but I think it. And then I'll tell you what mine is. If mine is a robin. So if a robin appears in a close space of time, then I know that I'm on the right path, or I'm thinking the right thing, or I'm being guided. Do you know what I mean? So I've got a good example for you. This morning, I had two things to choose from, like what to talk about today on my podcast. The choice was either to talk about cold therapy, or it was to talk about your symbolic item. And I was like, right, if I see a robin this morning, then I will talk about symbolic items, because that is my sign that I should talk about that today. So I got the dogs ready, took them out on a walk, and we were gone for about 40 minutes. And right at the end of my walk, I saw a robin. I saw it twice, actually. So I was like, right, thank you very much. I know that's what I need to talk about today. So it's really reassuring for me when I just feel like I need a bit of support in making decisions. Like, I know it sounds silly, like, we can talk to other people, but I like to use a sign. I like to see it as a sign from the universe. So the reason why this was one of my things to talk about today is because I've when I decided that a robin was going to be my symbolic item, I had absolutely no reason. Like, there's been no reason in the past for me to assign a robin to anything. Like, it just came to me. And then after I made that decision, so this was going back a couple of years ago now, when I made that decision, it soon became apparent that I had a couple of robins living in my garden. Like, they probably live between my garden and they've probably got a nest in my neighbour's garden as well, but like they flip between the two gardens. So I don't see them all the time. I know there's two of them because one's quite chunky and one's a little bit skinnier. And I don't see them all the time, but every now and again I'll go through phases where I see them loads, where they're obviously in our garden more. So it was just really funny how I made the decision to make robins my symbolic item, and then all of a sudden two seem to appear in my garden quite a lot. So that was that was really reassuring in itself. And, you know, for the last couple of years, I've been using the robin to help me make decisions and just give me a bit of reassurance. And then a couple of days ago, I noticed a tiny little baby robin in my garden. So these two robins have obviously made a baby, and the baby is in our garden, and it's just heartwarming. Like, it just made me think I need to talk about this today. Like, I saw that as a sign to talk about symbolic items. So apparently a robin is quite a popular animal to choose as your symbolic item, as is a butterfly. Like, a lot of people use a butterfly. I don't know if you've ever seen, some people have a butterfly emoji at the end of their like Instagram handle, for example. And so a lot of people use a butterfly. A lot of people, like I said, use white feather as a symbol. And some people use numbers. Like, if you've ever heard of angel numbers, some people see those as a sign that their guardian angel is watching over them, and different numbers have different meanings, or so some believe. Me, personally, I am drawn to the number one, all the number ones. So, like, pretty much, I would say at least 4 times in a week, I will happen to look up at the clock at exactly 11:11. And like, I look at the clock many, many times a day. Why does my intuition tell me to look at the clock when it's 11:11, not 11:10 or not 11:12? So that to me is just a sign that, just a little sign from the universe. It's like, yep, we got you. Or like, if I'm listening to a song and I will just happen to look at it at 1:11. If I'm paying for something and it happens to come to £1.11 or £11.11, or do you know what I mean? Like, just when I see the ones, I just feel happy and humble, I guess. When I'm in the gym, for some reason, I'm always drawn to, well, I say for some reason, I know why now, but I'm always drawn to locker number 111. So for me, like I said, the symbol of 111 is just a sign from the universe that I'm in the right place. But it's said that different angel numbers have different meanings. So if you see a sequence of 2s all the time, 222, 2222, or if you see a sequence of 4s all the time, different numbers have different meanings. So it's said that your guardian angels are sending you a message when you see that sequence of numbers. They're sending you a message, and different numbers have different messages, different meanings. Now, each of us will be drawn to different symbols. So whilst some of us might be interested in angel numbers, others of us might be more interested in totem animals or spirit animals, spirit guides. When it comes to what each thing means, it's down to you to decide what each different thing means to you. So take my example of my symbolic item, which is the robin. There are so many different cultures and superstitions that signify robins with different things. So, for example, one superstition is that if a robin flies into your house through an open window, a death will happen soon. And death is quite often associated with robins. Yet another superstition is that when a robin enters your house in November, it represents good luck. In Christianity, and as you know, I'm not religious, but in Christianity, it's believed that when you lose a loved one, they will pay you a visit in the form of a robin. And then in some cultures, robins represent new beginnings and transformation of life. So, you know, there are so many different things that we could believe, and it's up to you to decide what your symbolic item means to you. And this might change over time. So, you know, whilst at the moment to me robins represent reassurance from the universe that I'm doing the right thing, making the right decisions, down the line, when the time comes, like, oh, I hate saying things like this, but when I do lose a loved one, then robins might then signify their presence around me. It doesn't matter what cultural beliefs there are, it's what it means to you. That's what matters. I just find it very reassuring to have a symbolic item that I can look to for reassurance. And before I went on this journey, I didn't really have anything like that. Like, I didn't really feel the need for anything like that because I was just plodding through life, just seeing what happens, really. Whereas now I'm on a bit more of an intentional journey. So if you need help thinking of what is your spiritual item, your symbolic item, or totem animal, or spiritual animal, then here are a few things that might be helpful when thinking about that. And you can decide to assign anything you want as your symbolic item. So is there something that you see all the time and it just makes you feel reassured? Or if you have a certain thought and you always see that thing, so whether it's a particular bird or a particular animal, or maybe even a car, a particular type of car, like if that always happens to drive past you after you've made a good decision, what you deem a good decision, maybe that's your symbolic item. Maybe there's a song that always happens to come on when you need a bit of reassurance, or a particular song that makes you feel content. Maybe there's something that you dream about lots, whether it's an animal or a person or a particular situation or event. If that pops up in your dreams a lot, then maybe that's your symbolic item. Like sometimes we don't realise that things are there right in front of us, signs are there right in front of us, and we don't necessarily pay attention to them until we take time to sit back and think, like really think. I'm sorry if you can hear Hugo snoring in the background, he's getting really loud all of a sudden. But until we take time to think about what is constantly reoccurring for you, like what things do you really take notice of? And you might not realise that you take notice of them until you take time to think about it. And whatever you decide to make it mean to you, that is what it means. So whenever you see that, take it as a sign that that thing you're thinking of is coming to you. A couple of times today, I've mentioned totem animals, and I didn't really know what that was until I researched it today. You might not necessarily know what that means, so I just want to take a bit of time to explain what I mean by totem animals. So it comes from a Native American tradition which believes that different animals act as guides throughout one's life, and that we have a spiritual relationship with these animals. Each Native American tribe would have been represented by a different spiritual animal, and obviously this animal would have been absolutely worshipped by the tribe. So obviously they wouldn't have been able to kill or eat this animal that represents them. Over time, this tradition has assigned different meanings with different animals. So, for example, a bear represents the protector and symbolises physical strength and leadership. A bird means carefree and light-hearted. Let's have a look what a robin means. A robin signifies the wisdom of change. A polar bear means solitude, expert swimmer through emotional waters, ability to find food where none seems to exist, strength in the face of adversity, communication with the spirit, creature of dreamers. That's nice. Rabbit means fear and overcoming limiting beliefs. So it's really nice to see actually what all the different meanings are for totem animals. But like I said, just because this is one belief, this is one cultural belief of what that animal represents, that doesn't mean it has to represent it to you. It means whatever you want it to mean. So what I'd love you to do in the next few days is have a little think of, are there any animals or songs or, other things that you regularly come across that you, whether you notice them or not. So have a think if there's something that you thought, oh God, yeah, I've seen a lot of those lately, whether it's a material object or, a natural, something from nature, it doesn't really matter. And if there isn't anything you can think of, then look out for things over this next coming week and just be aware of reoccurring items, things, animals in front of you. And then decide what meaning you are going to assign to it. It can be a particular specific meaning. So whether that's something financial, something material, something family related, something relationship related or future related, something that means something to you. Or you could just decide on something that is just going to be, like with mine, it doesn't necessarily represent something in particular. It just represents a little nod from the universe, like, yep, we've got your back. You're in the right place at the right time. You're doing all the right things. And here's your evidence. And then what I want you to do, if you are listening on Spotify, you know how I always go on that on Apple Podcasts, you can rate and review and, leave a written review, but you can't do that on Spotify. Well, a new feature that they've just brought out is I can ask you a question and you can answer it on there. So if you listen on Spotify, at the end of this, I'm going to put a question on there. And the question is going to be, what is your symbolic item? So I want you to go into that if you're listening on Spotify and let me know what your symbolic item is. If you are listening on Apple Podcasts or on something else, then please do still feel free to drop me a DM on Instagram and let me know what your symbolic item is. As always, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, I would absolutely love if you could leave me a written review. It just helps me reach out to more people. It just helps more people find me. It helps my podcast. It helps my podcast grow. Once you've decided on your symbolic item, then I want you to look out for it as well. Just be aware and allow the signs to come to you. Like sometimes we just genuinely don't see what is right in front of our face. And until you start looking out for things, you don't necessarily notice it. So just allow it to come to you. Allow yourself to see what you're wanting to see. And I guarantee you'll be surprised at how often you see it. Anyway, I'm going to hurry up now because I need a wee. As you know, well, if you listened last week, I've been trying to up my water intake, and you'll be pleased to know it has risen by 1%. I checked it the other day and it's risen by 1%, which doesn't sound like a lot, but it is a lot. So I'm really pleased with that, but it does mean I need a wee. So I'm going. I hope you've enjoyed listening today. Please do let me know what your symbolic item is. Please do rate and review as always. And thanks for listening. Bye, guys.